Hello guys and welcome to another video, and this was supposed to be a 10k special video with Q&A of course, but just to be completely honest with you, I really haven't had the camera to record this one. I could have done it on my webcam, but the quality of the video would be, it really wouldn't be the same. So I just decided to wait a little bit and order the camera, and now when it's finally here we should get started with this. So as I usually say, without further ado, let's get going. Okay, the first question is from RAA Wabbit, and the question was, would you say there is a way that practice should be structured to achieve faster time trial times and race pace? If so, what are your recommendations? So my first recommendation is that you have a look at what the other guys are doing. For example, this is the first step, this is the first and the main step, just to find out where the limits of the track are and what gears and what lines you should be taking. In general, there is a way how to get better, but just knowing when and where you should brake and how you should brake makes a lot of difference. For example, if you go in the corner and you're doing like 100% of braking, and the other guy who is the first in the world or actually in the top 10, he's like doing 50 or 60% of the brakes, and you should be wondering like, okay, maybe this is the way to get better at that. So in general, I would say this is the first step, and the other steps are just analyzing your own mistakes. So the first, going from first analyzing someone else, then just doing your own laps and comparing those laps to the best guys out there. And I think that way you could focus on the little things out there. So for example, if you're taking more curb than you should, if you're taking less curb than you should, are you, I don't know, maybe you're pushing a little bit too much. If you're putting like 20-30% on the throttle, and you shouldn't be doing that because it usually causes understeer. Sometimes it works, sometimes it can like actually stabilize the car a little bit better, but in general, those are those little things that you should be focusing on. And in general, I would say, like going from step 1 to step 2, it's not like a lot of work, but just analyzing your own mistakes, and this takes time. This really takes time, like each and every track. I mean, for someone like me, I would say it does take a little bit less time because I've done it a million times. I've done it like, I stopped counting. I literally stopped counting how many times I've analyzed someone else's lap, but this is the way to do it. I mean, this is my way to do it. So like just a couple of steps and analyzing your own mistakes and just making your, making your lap a little bit better. So next question from Ashutosh, I hope I said it right. How did you start your channel? How did the idea come to your mind? And what are all of the things that had to be done before making the videos and streaming? And thank you. Congratulations, he said in the end. So thank you very much for that question. The question is really, really good because I started my channel. I don't even know how I started my channel, to be honest. I just started streaming a little bit, maybe here and there, maybe once a week, twice a week. And I just wanted to see where all of this is gonna go. And I think the best part was, part was the COVID for me. I wouldn't say like for 99% of people out there, COVID was like the worst thing out there. But for me, it was, it was the period of my life that I could have gotten here. I could have spent it on my rig, and I had the time, I had the place, I had all of those things that you actually need to do before, before actually starting to stream and make videos like that. So I just didn't know how to do it at first. So I watched a lot of YouTube videos. I watched like a million YouTube videos on video editing, thumbnails, how to set up your streaming equipment, what things to buy, where you should kind of spend a little bit more, where you should spend a little bit less. And all of those things took me, I think it took me like a year and a half to learn. It didn't start easy. It wasn't easy at first. It really wasn't easy, because every time you start something new, it's just completely new. It's just a completely different thing that you get yourself into. But in general, I would say streaming equipment, that was the hardest part for me, because you need a good streaming PC. You need something that is worth around $1,000, I would say. You need a capture card, you need a monitor, you need a rig. That all of those things cost money, and for me, all of those things were like a little bit out of hand. It got a little bit out of hand when I started spending that much money, but I really wasn't earning. I was just like straight out of college. I didn't have a job yet, so I just recently got like a good job. So yeah, all of those things, you know, it was a very, very difficult period of time just to get all of those things, but you also had to be fast. And in general, track guides, I would say track guides were, you know, I think track guides were really the place where all of this started. So I just started with like maybe 50 or 100 views, getting to maybe 1,000. When I got my first 1,000 views, I mean, I was like, what the hell is going on? Like, is this even for real? I mean, this is just... I couldn't believe that I got 1,000 views, but now when I look into it, I mean, every video, almost every video that I post is like 1,000 views or more. So some are at 30, 20, 30k. I mean, I don't know what's going on, but it's just the way it was at first. Like, in general, I was getting about 200 to 300 views when I started with my track guides, and just in like a 6-month period, I would say 6 months to about a year, from where I started streaming, I had that goal to reach 1,000 subs, and I did it. It was actually very, very difficult because you need 4,000 hours of watch time and you need 1,000 subscribers, which was, I don't know. I don't even know how to explain, but 4,000 watch hours, it's like a lot at first when you're starting. But now when I look into my analytics, I usually have around 10,000, 15,000 watch hours a month. And it took me like a year to get a 4,000. So yeah, it's quite a huge step. But once you start getting views, you need to keep all of those views at one place. But it's actually a little bit easier to make all of this happen. So that was the first step. But after those 6 months to about a year, I actually started giving it like a lot more views, a lot more frequent and a lot more generic views, rather than, you know, using keywords, using all of those stuff that you guys are searching. And I just didn't care really about my English. My English wasn't really the best to start with, so I just didn't care how it looked like. I just posted out there, and you know, someone's gonna click that video, and I spent a lot of time, you know, practicing. I spent a lot of time, you know, analyzing what I should be doing better, and I was actually typing out the script, what I had to say, but you know, it was just a lot of time for me. I mean, just to make a video, to do like a good lap, to make a good track guide video, and to do a script, it took me like 3 to 4 hours. But nowadays it takes me like an hour and a half, maybe 2 hours, but I would say an hour and a half if you want to make like a good quality lap time, and just to explain all of those little things to you guys. So yeah, I mean, actually practice makes perfect, and this was the first step, and just the views came later. It just happened. So I started streaming it a bit more. I focused on dailies, I focused on the Nations and the Manufacturers Cup. So I really focused on those things that were getting me views, and you should focus on things that are getting you views. I mean, you should go to that analytics tab and really spend a lot of time there. Like, really spend a lot of time there, and you know, it's gonna help. It's gonna help. And yeah, as I said before, I watched a lot of videos setting up all of my streaming equipment, and it took me a lot of time actually, but it was pretty good when when you got all of those things working. And just until recently, I was streaming in like 1080p, and I just recently got to 1440p, which is like a huge step and a huge difference. So yeah, I mean, I want to improve, and I really want to kind of focus on getting better in game and getting my videos and my streams better. I hope I answered your question. Thank you. What was the most difficult thing in streaming from FANATEC Racer? Yeah, that was the most difficult thing, which I just explained. So buying all of the equipment, setting it all up, knowing the right settings, actually being quick. So that's usually the hardest part, But all of those things, editing, streaming equipment, like all of those things make a lot of sense when you just think about it in the end. But it takes a lot of skill, it takes a lot of time, it takes a lot of effort to, to work yourself where you are, or actually where am I right now. I mean, I know 10K or 12.5K is not enough. I mean, it's definitely not enough for me. From my point of view, I always want more. But I'm very glad that I got to this position, and this is the part of my life now. Yeah. So the difficult part is actually getting started. So don't think too much, don't think twice, just go. And the other question was, would you recommend the GT DD Pro? Yes, I would. I know a lot of people think like, this is okay wheel, this is a perfect wheel for me. Some of you guys think, okay, I had a little bit of a problem here and there with it, but I think for this price range, and you're actually getting a direct drive, and this is incredible for the amount of money you're spending. So I would definitely recommend it. It's a pretty good wheel, and it's a huge step going from the CSL Elite, at least for me. If you're just starting up, going from, let's say, a Logitech G29 or something else to, I don't know, to the CSL Elite or to this GT DD Pro, it's not gonna be so noticeable. But if you're really into this, if you really know how, and when and where are you making those little tiny mistakes, then you will really appreciate the price range of this wheel, and just completely like a different story that you're getting out of this. The next one is from Barrow. So, hey Digit, how did you manage to get to your actual driving skills, and how many hours did you train on GT? Okay, it takes a lot of practice. As I said before, I would go to step number 1, to the first question. So it doesn't really matter how much time you spend, but how much quality time you spend on the game. Like everything in life, I think this is something that you should focus on. Getting better, but knowing your own mistakes. Because it's not the same going around in circles for 1,000 hours and you really don't know where you made that mistake. And you can only spend like 2 hours and you could like get better in that. Because you really should be analyzing your own mistakes and finding those little margins and those little gaps that in the end make a lot of sense. I mean, it doesn't make sense at first, but just as you go into it, it's just gonna make a lot of difference. And you will focus on those little things and finding the time where, I mean, you weren't looking for. And in the end, that's what really makes you quicker. But in general, how much time? I would say about like 5 to 6 hours on Mondays. I would say around 5 when I'm streaming and when I'm making my track guide videos. Recently, I reduced that to about 4. But in general, over the week, I would say around 20-25 hours of racing. And this is not just racing, this is actually getting better, analyzing my own mistakes, as I said before, and all of those things at once. So around 20-25 hours, sometimes more, sometimes less. And a good question from Jaime, at what age did you start playing GT? So I got my first PlayStation 2 when I was 6.5 or 7, and it was Gran Turismo 3. And I just didn't know, I did not really understand why I couldn't get like all of those gold licenses. I just couldn't really figure out where I was making those mistakes. I was really focused on, I don't know what I was focused on, as I was a kid. I didn't really know anything. So I generally didn't have a wheel, I was on the controller, I was just having fun. I was just playing over the summer break, I was actually playing a lot. So I wasn't really a school type of guy, so I just didn't study that much. So most of my time I spent on gaming, and I spent on racing games, and this is where I spent most of my hours on PlayStation 2, just racing games, and just got into PlayStation 3, PlayStation 4, now PlayStation 5, and I just spent like a ton of time playing racing games. And that was it, like from age 6.5 to about 7 years old to about now. So it took me like 20 years. So yeah, that's quite a gap, to be honest with you. How did you start your channel and why? From Ali. yeah, as I said before, I think that was the question from Ashutosh. I didn't really had a plan. I just started and I just started making videos and didn't really do much. I didn't really like focus on, okay, I want to get like 10,000 subs. I want to get like 100,000 subs. I basically started streaming or racing because I was quite good with this, to be honest. I was quite okay, and I just really wanted to see, like, I really wanted recognition in a way. I really wanted to, like, the whole world to see what I'm doing, and this was probably one of the reasons why. And the other reason why was, you know, just I was having a little bit of fun trying something new, and you know, every now once in a while you try to do something different, and this ended up like this. I'm making a video for you guys, and yeah, I really can't believe what I'm doing. So once again, yeah, that's why. BAFTA, favorite car in real life. I have a couple of cars. I mean, one of the early days, you know, I was watching rallying, and I would say the Subaru Impreza is probably the car that I always wanted the most. Like, not the new Subarus, but the older ones. Like a good old rally Colin McRae stuff. I mean, I love that. So I would say that's my, I mean, that's my, like, maybe my favorite car. But the other one is the GTR. I like the GTR. I love it. It's just a complete beast. I know this is not the best car in Gran Turismo, or, you know, the best car out there, but just the looks and the way the car moves and just the way the car looks like, it just, I don't know. It just, like, when you see something, you know that it's good. And that's about it. I mean, that's about it. That's the story behind all of this. And the other question is from Mark. Can you make a video on GT7 Offline Mode? I want to see what we get to offline. I haven't bought mine yet. You can't really play offline GT7. You can, but you're really restricted to like a couple of races. You can't really do much. You can only play arcade, and your progress is really not saved. So offline, it's not really the go with. Just, yeah, they didn't really make this stuff an option here. Another question is from Gijpwijk. I hope I said it okay. What are my hobbies besides playing Gran Turismo? Hobbies. I don't really have that much time because I actually do have a full-time job. I'm making this YouTube thing in my spare time, so I'm focused on YouTube and my work. But besides that, I don't know, I go to the gym. I mean, not in the recent while, but I usually went, like, I was actually doing a lot of sports. I was an active rower. It really prepares you for a lot of situations in your life, and so I went to triathlon. I did a couple of Ironmans. I don't know if you guys heard about that. So Ironman 70.3, I did like 3 of those. So I was a sports type of guy. And yeah, I mean, besides all of those other things that I'm doing, I think just basically going to the gym was and is my current hobby. I don't have much hobbies, to be honest, but I would say the biggest point of all of this is like YouTube, making videos, making guides, and making this YouTube a thing. So yeah. So Daniel Penalo, he asked a question: what was your first GT? As I said before, it was GT3, Gran Turismo 3, and I just tried a GT2 and GT1. I couldn't quite see. I couldn't quite actually tell the difference between GT2 and 1. I could, but I was a kid back then, and just I didn't really understand why it was someone playing GT1 and GT2 when you could play GT3. So I just mostly played GT3, and I started with that. I went to GT4, GT5, GT6, and GT7, and of course, Sport. So another question from Max Steer. You improved a lot in a year. What are your main tips to improve and get the last 1.5 seconds that I need to be in the top split? And since I'm trying to improve my setup, in your opinion, having a sim rig can help me to improve? Yes, yeah. And the other one is thank you for the content and loving the content. So yeah, I would say that I have improved quite a lot in a year, but it's just a question of how good was I in analyzing my own mistakes. And I would say that I was quite good at it. I mean, I was really looking for those little pieces on the track. I was really looking for those little things. And this is something that you should be doing. You should go on the track. You should analyze the top guy. You should really analyze what he's doing and compare those things to you. And the other things that, you know, I've done a lot of videos. You can have a look at it on the channel. Those, I wouldn't say those little things. Those knowing your braking pedal. I mean, just that's something that you should really focus on. Spending some time really working your way with the brakes, really working your way up there and making yourself a faster driver. So just knowing who you are, where are your limitations, and getting to know your equipment. So some equipment is a little bit different from the other, but you should really try to understand what, let's say, V3 pedals have. Play with it a lot. I played a lot. I really played a lot, and I modded it to like as much as I could. I even put like 2 of those rubber pieces in there, and I actually split one in half, so I don't really have that rubber little, I think it's like a kind of yellowish part. I got like all of those free things that are rubbers that you buy from the performance kit. So I was playing quite a lot with that. I was really learning my braking points, really learning my braking pedals, and analyzing, of course, analyzing your own mistakes. I spent a lot of time just getting into my own replays and really focusing, okay, maybe I should brake a little bit earlier there, maybe I am putting the throttle in there and I don't have to do it as fast as I'm doing it. Maybe that's making a lot of difference for me. And just, you know, a little bit of progress, but that progress, it's gonna take a while. It doesn't really happen overnight, but really focusing on the things that you're doing wrong and the things you should improve. And you will see after like 3 to 6 months, you will see the improvement. It took me a year and a half, as you said, and in general, it takes a lot of time. So it takes a lot of time to get better, but after a while, it does make sense, and it's definitely worth it. And regarding your sim rig, yeah, it definitely helps, but it's not in the way that you're gonna completely improve your racing, you're gonna completely change your driving style or anything. Just, I would say, if you have a strong base, it has its own perks, but I wouldn't say that it's like a complete way to do it. So I was quite competitive on my Logic, like G29, and I was literally using a chair and a table. So yeah, a chair and a table with skills and a rig that cost like a lot of money without the skill. Yeah, the skill always wins, and it will always win. So yeah, I hope this answers your question. And another question comes from Juan. Can you make a guide for a setup? So I first have to say that I'm not the setup type of guy. And GT7 has a completely broken setup. It's just completely broken. So if you're trying to make all of those things to make sense, and you're not gonna get a good car. You're gonna get a pretty decent car, but you have to work your way with the game. And it's more like a trial and error until you really find a good setup, rather than like focusing on those little things and focusing just to tune everything a little bit into that perfect scenario. Just, you know, doing things as they supposed to be done, like textbook setups. They just don't work in GT7. So you really have to find the limit for yourself, and you have to find those little tweaks in the game that in the end are gonna make you quicker. So that's why I'm not making guides for setups, because it just doesn't make that much sense. It could help you understand the setup a little bit, but it's just not going to make you a lot faster. So just the way it is at this point. I hope they fix it. I really hope they fix it. Okay, and the last one is from Bug. So how you like GT7? What would you change if you had the chance? I would definitely change the penalty system. That's something that I would definitely change. The other thing that I would change is the BOP system. So I know it takes a lot of time to make BOP work, and just to make a lot of those little tweaks that it's actually going to make a lot of difference in the future. But I think in like 6 months to about a year, we will have a full GT7 game. Although it might seem like a long time, just making a competitive game and making it with all of the cars available out there is a complete nightmare. So making it work, it's absolutely incredible that this is the game we had. GT Sport was the game we had for like 4 to 5 years, and now this, it looks good. Just the POP and the penalty system are not quite there. The setups are not quite there, but I think, as I said before, 6 months to about a year, we will have a full game that I will definitely enjoy, and I will definitely be playing it for quite a lot more time. And yeah, that's about it. I mean, hope it's going to be better in the future. And I have to say a huge thank you to all of my members, to all of you guys out there who supported me to get to 10k and eventually get to 12.5k. It's been quite a journey. So this is really a part of my life now, and this is really something that I hope I will be pushing in the future to maybe even someday maybe to get like 100,000 subs, maybe to get like maybe even to go full time on this. But the way this thing is going right now, I think I will have a good future with this. But at this point, I do think this is a little spare part of my life, like this is the side job that I'm doing, so I will keep it like this. But in general, I would really like to keep pushing on this YouTube thing and, you know, actually making it a thing. I mean, it's already a thing, thanks to you guys. So once again, thank you very much for making this possible, and hope for many more. See ya. Bye, guys.